A pleasant good morning from Royal Communications Incorporated. A pleasant welcome to King's Newsroom for the 5 minutes of factual and reliable news about Liberia and the rest of our one word. Today is Friday, September 19, 2025. My name is Cornelius Johnson presenting story top in the headlines. State prosecutors demand new medical examination for six Capitol building action defenders at the Army Expeditionary Healthcare Medical Center. But defense lawyers take exception, say the facility lacks independence. Liberian government removes more than 1,000 public school teachers from national payroll. Authorities of the Ministry of Education classify them as non-performing teachers. President Joseph Boakai suspends Deputy Youth and Sports Minister Brian McGill days after intense pressure from civil society groups, but Liberia National Police requests forensic equipment to commence full investigations of McGill's rape allegations. Of the home front, the head of Malawi's Electoral Commission has warned political parties not to prematurely declare electoral victory, saying they should wait for the official results. And the 3,000-year-old gold bracelet that disappeared from the Egyptian museum in Cairo was stolen and melted down. Egypt's interior ministry says the news bulletin voices of the newsmakers are all packaged in this edition of the program. We take a very short break to be right back. State prosecutors have ordered fresh medical examinations from six of the Capitol building arson defenders at the Army Expeditionary Healthcare Medical Center following dissatisfaction with the initial report. The moves follows recent claims made by the defendants that they were tortured and sodomized while in state custody. However, George Roosevelt Willie has ruled that the examinations must be conducted at Army Single facility and completed with all costs covered by the Ministry of Justice. But defense lawyers have argued that Army is no more an independent health facility, given its alleged ties to both the Ministry of Justice and the Liberia National Police, the very institutions accused of abuse. The defense lawyers, who are said to be consulting on next steps, have raised serious concerns over Army's impartiality. They cited a case of co-defendant Thomas Edridge, who collapsed during interrogation and was treated at Army, where he was diagnosed with malaria despite visible signs of physical trauma. At the same time, the First Judicial Circuit, Criminal Court A, at the Temple of Justice has scheduled Wednesday, September 24, for the final ruling on a motion to suppress evidence in a high-profile criminal case involving multiple defendants. President George Roosevelt Willie is expected to deliver a ruling that could impact the course of the case, particularly regarding the admissibility of key evidence central to the prosecution's case. The motion to suppress was filed by a group of defendants, including former House Speaker, Councillor Fanati Kofa, Dixon Sibo, Jacob Derby, Kevin Barr, Jerry Poker, Stephen Broad, John Yanti, Patience Bestman, Evelyn Grace Johnson, Abu Kamara, Christian Kofa, Eric Sisse, Thomas Isaac Eldridge, and others yet to be identified. The motion challenges the legality and relevance of certain evidence, seeking its exclusion from trial proceedings. The government, represented by the Ministry of Justice, is named as the respondent in the matter. The defendants face a range of serious criminal charges, including attempted murder, criminal mischief, criminal conspiracy, criminal facilitation, release of destructive forces, among others. The outcome of the court's decision on the motion will play a pivotal role in the case, as it will determine whether crucial evidence will be permitted during trial. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Education, has announced the removal of over 1,000 teachers from the national payroll who are classified as non-performing teachers. According to authorities of the Ministry of Education, the move is part of ongoing efforts to reform and improve the country's educational system. Making the disclosure on behalf of the Minister of Education during MECA press briefing Thursday, Acting Education Minister Antonin Yeke Fokwa said those affected are teachers who have refused to honor their official assignments in other parts of the country. Fokpa noted that the action by the affected teachers have resulted to serious abandonment of school-going children in those parts of Liberia. He added that failure by the affected teachers to challenge the ministry's decisions have resulted to their replacement by teachers who they believe are committed to do the job. Minister Fokpa also disclosed that they, as part of its engagements with the Civil Service Agency for the Well-being of Teachers, 417 out of 2,000 identified volunteer teachers have already been processed to begin receiving salaries beginning September, adding that the remaining will be added by October. President Joseph Boakai has, with immediate effect, suspended the Deputy Minister for Youth Development at the Ministry of Youth and Sports, Brian McGill, for allegedly raping a 14-year-old girl. A statement issued by the executive mansion Wednesday noted that the decision was taken in line with the government's zero tolerance policy towards all forms of sexual and gender based violence and to ensure a fair and transparent investigation. The action taken by the president comes amidst mounting pressure from civil society organizations, including the Women Legislative Caucus of Liberia and the general public, against alleged act of rape carried out by an official of government. The statement furthered that Deputy Minister McGill will remain suspended until the conclusion of the investigation. The Office for the Establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia says the transitional justice system is not focusing on establishing the tribunal that will prosecute and jail people suspected of crimes, but rather for victims who were severely injured, resulting to disabilities, to receive redress. The executive director of the office, Councillor Jala Babu, disclosed that the office is drafting a legislation that would take into consideration all sectors of the Liberian society. He made a disclosure at the dedication of the newly acquired headquarters of the National Union of Organizations of the Disabled, located in Monrovia, Thursday. Also speaking, the Director General of the Civil Service Agency, Josiah Jokai, called on heads of ministries, agencies, commissions, and bureaus of government to give people with disabilities equal opportunities for employment. According to Jokai, people with disabilities have been marginalized over the years, but the government of President Boakai would never allow discrimination against any Liberian because of deformity. At the same time, National Commission on Disability has called on the national legislature to include the National Union of Organizations of the Disabled in the national budget. The executive director of the commission, Samia Dane, said the organization, like the Federation of Liberian Youth and the Liberia Albino Society, is seeking the welfare of people with disabilities. Dane also appealed to the president to ensure or issue an executive order that will compel all ministries, agencies, commissions, and bureaus to establish disability tax to address issues affecting people with disabilities. For his part, the president of the National Union of Organizations of the Disabled, Peter Flomo, appealed to partners for assistance to renovate and furnish the new headquarters of the institution. Feminist activist Vic June Wodu Woto and a group of women's rights campaigners on Thursday stormed the headquarters of the Liberia National Police, demanding the swift arrest of Deputy Minister for Youth Development, Brian McGill. The activists said they could no longer tolerate what they described as deliberate delays in handling Deputy Minister alleged rape case. Medical reports have since confirmed that the minor was raped, but authorities of the LMP are yet to effect the arrest of McGill, something many people describe as the police shielding alleged rapist because of his political status. The rights campaigners also accused the government of only being concerned about enforcing laws against ordinary Liberians. According to them, the police is hesitating to arrest the accused minister, stating that at this time he should have been behind bars while investigations are ongoing. In response, Chief of Public Safety at the Liberia National Police, Fred Gay, explained that although medical findings point to rape, more substantial evidence is needed before an arrest can be made. He noted that Brian McGill has denied the allegations, and as such, the police are conducting a geolocation probe to determine his whereabouts on the day the alleged incident occurred. The group, however, rejected the police position, arguing that countless ordinary Liberians are held in detention on mere accusations without the benefit of lengthy investigations before arrest. The Liberia Electricity Corporation has announced the commissioning of a utility scale solar farm, which is expected to add 20 megawatts of electricity to the national grid and expand access to power across the country. Expected to be commissioned in November, the project is described as the country's first ever utility scale solar farm. According to the LEC, the facility located in Harrisburg, Maserati County, was launched in October 2024 to address Liberia's chronic power shortages, particularly during the dry season when hydropower production declines. A statement issued by LEC describes the initiative as part of government's commitment under the National Energy Compact to connect 100,000 households annually and increase electricity access to 75% of the population, up from the current 32.7%. The superintendent of Margibi County, O.J. Morris, has described fight against illegal drugs in Liberia as a national emergency, calling on the national government to take a holistic approach. Speaking at a large gathering Thursday, Superintendent Morris emphasized that the fight against narcotic substances should not be left solely to the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. He noted that tackling the growing drug problem is a shared responsibility that demands collective ideas and action from all sectors of society. According to Superintendent Morris, it is likely that some drug dealers may be living within local communities pretending to be part of the solution while actively contributing to the problem. He stressed that a divisive or selective approach would not succeed. Instead, he is urging for greater collaboration with institutions and community based organizations that have been involved in the anti drug campaign long before it was declared an emergency. The Liberia National Red Cross Society, in collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency, on Thursday provided updates on the ongoing implementation of Economic Community of West African State Civil Protection and Humanitarian Aid Operations Funded Project. The initiative, valued at 725,000 United States dollars, support more than 1,800 disaster affected families across four counties: Lofa, Grangide, Maserati, and Nimbra. Speaking during a joint press briefing in Monrovia, George Blamo, General Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Liberia National Red Cross Society, reaffirmed the Red Cross commitment to humanitarian excellence and interagency collaboration. According to Blamo, the project primarily focused on critical areas including water, sanitation, and hygiene, and climate smart agricultural and livelihood support. He added that the interventions are designed not only to assist with immediate recovery, but also to build long term resilience among vulnerable populations. Meanwhile, the Liberia National Red Cross Society Chief Executive Officer noted that livelihood components is set to reach 1,820 disaster affected families, each of whom will receive 250 United States dollars via mobile money transfer. He stressed that the selection of beneficiaries was based on needs assessment conducted in 2024 from a list provided by the National Disaster Management Agency and its ongoing rigorous field verification to ensure accuracy, transparency, and fairness. Blamo emphasized the Red Cross dedication to transparency and its collaborative approach. The Liberia National Drug Enforcement Agency has arrested a 51-year-old businesswoman, Helena Allison, in Fishtown, River G County, with a large quantity of 3 pills of tramadol and over 100 rounds of live ammunition. According to the LDA River G Detachment, Agents conducted a search operation at Allison's business premises following tip-off from community members and discovered 3 pills of tramadol tablets valued at approximately 36,300 Liberian dollars, along with 116 rounds of single-barrel ammunition. At the same time, the Liberian National Police has confiscated 100,000 United States dollars compressed marijuana units estimated to be worth around 9,576 and turned over to the LDA, according to the press. According to the Deputy Director for Administration, Ernest Tabe, each unit was valued at 76 United States dollars, adding that the suspect fled the scene before the officers arrived. Tabe emphasized that no arrest was made, but assured that the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency intelligence network remains strong and those responsible will be apprehended soon. Meanwhile, upon receiving the seized marijuana, LDA officers in charge, Fazaran Biago, thanked the LMP for their coordination and highlighted that the LDA's roles extend beyond drug arrests to include efforts aimed at reducing the efficiency of drug trafficking operation. In Liberian People's Party political leader Councillor Tiawan Gonglo has clarified recent remarks that sparked debate within Liberia's media community, noting that his message was a call for ethical journalism and not an attack on the press. In a statement he titled A Respectful Plea for a Stronger Liberian Press, Councillor Gonglo emphasized his long-standing defense of press freedom and reiterated his commitment to a free and independent media in Liberia. According to him, recent caution against mercenary journalism was not an attack on the profession, rather a plea for ethics and professionalism to be upheld. He said while most responses were positive, he acknowledged valid concerns raised about delayed government payments and limited advertising support for private media. Factors, he said, have weakened the industry. Gonglo urged the government to use its economic power to strengthen and not sideline the press by ensuring timely payments, transparent public interest, advertising, and inclusive media engagement across all counties and languages. The news bulletin will take a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you the voices of the newsmakers. Indeed, if you just join us, a reminder you are in tune to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of factual and reliable news about Liberia and the rest of our one world. One of our top stories this morning, state prosecutors demand new medical examination for 6 Capitol building accident defendants at the Army Expeditionary Healthcare Medical Center, but defense lawyers take exception, say the facility lacks independence. Let's now bring you voices of the newsmakers. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Education, has announced the removal of over 1,000 teachers from the national payroll who are classified as non-performing teachers. According to authorities of the Ministry of Education, the move is part of ongoing efforts to reform and improve the educational system. Making the disclosure on behalf of the Minister of Education during Mika press briefing Thursday, Acting Education Minister Anthony Nyeke Fokwa said those affected are teachers who have refused to honor their official assignment in other parts of the country. Fokwa noted that the action by the affected teachers have resulted to serious abandonment of school-going children in the parts of the country.
The minister, during the last budget year, this current budget year that is about to conclude, petitioned the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning and the legislature for funding to enroll about 2,000 of our volunteer teachers who were vetted, qualified, on the payroll. The Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, in concert with the legislature, said they could provide funding for 1,000 volunteers to be enrolled on the payroll. Then, on our own volition, having realized that there were many teachers on our payroll who refused to go to the areas of assignment. The teachers on the payroll who, for example, supposed to be assigned in Grand Jide, in Bon County, in Lofa, in Bakuru, and other places, who were taking salaries and leaving our children on attendance in the classroom. So we did the assessment and we identified around 1,000 of such teachers. Gave them the opportunity to come to the Ministry of Education to show reason why they should not be removed from the classroom, owing to the fact that they've abandoned our classroom and left our children on the attendance. Because our 1,000 of them could not show any valid reason why they were not in our classrooms, we removed 1,000 of them from the payroll and replaced them with 1,000 volunteer teachers, the actual people who were in our classroom doing the work. On my way here, I contacted the CSK to ask how far we were with enrolling the volunteer teachers on the payroll.
Minister Fokpa also disclosed that as part of his engagements with the Civil Service Agency for the Well-being of Teachers, 417 out of 2,000 identified volunteer teachers have already been processed to begin receiving salaries beginning in September, adding that the remaining will be added by October. He further that there is no teaching no teacher earning less than 185 United States dollars, thus emphasizing the ministry's commitment to ensure that the country's educational sector is reformed under the leadership of Minister Jala.
Anything relative to fees, school closure. Having said that, I would now like to be clear on the issue of graduation fees. We've had many about graduation fees. Parents are calling all across the country because the schools, notwithstanding the fees that we specify in the academic calendar, some have chosen to take matters in their own hands and charge our students astronomical fees. The academic calendar states that the graduation fee for 12th grade public school is 5,000 Nigerian dollars. Public school 12th grade graduation fee is 5,000 Nigerian dollars. Private school 12th grade 100 US dollars.
Is acting education minister Anthony Nyanka Fokpa there speaking. The Office for the Establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia says the transitional justice system is not focusing on establishing a tribunal that will prosecute and jail people suspected of crimes, but rather for victims who were severely injured resulting to disabilities to receive redress. The executive director of the office, Councillor Jala Babu, disclosed that the office is drafting a legislation that would take into consideration all sectors of the Liberian society. He made a disclosure at the dedication of the newly acquired headquarters of the National Union of Organizations of the Disabled located in Monrovia on Thursday.
The War and Economic Crimes Court is now focused on establishing a court just for people to be tried and put in jail. We go beyond that as an office. It is a transitional justice process. And by that process, we also take into account the rights of people to receive redress other than being satisfied that people have gone to jail. It means, therefore, that several thousands and thousands of people suffered as a result of the war. They would not have been in the situations that they are in had it not been because of the civil crisis. Therefore, they definitely do need redress beyond people going to court. The law we are drafting is taking that into account so that tomorrow, when the law is passed, there will be a provision in there on that. However, I cannot, as a person, say conclusively that I know what you're thinking about, I know your heart's desire, and I know your concern. For that reason, we don't need to consult you, not by sight. You are an integral part of the code making process.
Also speaking, Director General of the Civil Service Agency, Josiah Jokai, called on heads of ministries, agencies, commissions, and bureaus of government to give people with disabilities equal opportunities for employment. According to Jokai, people with disabilities have been marginalized over the years, but the government of President Boakai would never allow discrimination against any Liberian because of deformity.
For too long, I must tell you the truth that people with disabilities have been pushed at the margins of our society. Too often, they have been seen as objects of pity instead of partners in progress. This is not about a symbol of silence. This is a great symbol of voice that refuses to be ignored. Noah is really standing tall against all odds, and by standing tall, Noah is reminding us that the dignity of a nation is measured by how it treats those who are vulnerable. So there is a responsibility on the part of the government. And as Director General of the Civil Service Agency, I must be very honest with you that government has a sacred duty. And our Constitution guarantees that equal opportunity for every citizen. Our international commitments behind us shows that there must be inclusion at all levels, and that our conscience demands that we all must act now. It is not enough for us to be making speeches. It is not enough for us to pass laws. We must take action. And it must be real, it must be concrete actions. And those actions must change lives. Because disability rights are not favors to be granted, not at all. They are human rights to be protected. What must we do? First, we must open the doors of employment. The civil service must not be closed to people with disabilities. Recruitment, promotion, and workplace accommodation must reflect inclusivity.
He's the Director General of the Civil Service Agency, Josiah Jokai. Earlier, you listened to the Executive Director of the Establishment Office for the Establishment of the War in Economic Crimes Court, Councillor Jala Babu. At the same time, the National Commission on Disability has called on the National Legislature to include the National Union of Organizations of the Disabled in the national budget. The executive director of the commission, Samir Dean, said the organization like Federation of Liberian Youth and Liberia Albino Society is seeking the welfare of people with disabilities. Dean also appealed to President Joseph Boakai to issue an executive order that will compare all ministries, agencies, commissions, and bureaus to establish disability desks to address issues affecting people with disabilities.
But I also wanted the government to step it up a notch, as we know that NUOD, like the FLAG, Federation of Liberian Youth, the Albino Society, and other organizations that have been subsidized by the government, is a struggling entity. And we will speak on behalf of persons with disabilities to drive awareness on their plights. So I think it's only fair if the government can step it up a notch, in addition to the office, provide a budgetary allotment for NOTE so that it can be able to carry on its function years. But we hope that on our watch, our arrest agenda for inclusive development that was inspired by persons with disabilities will reap the fruit of their labor under this administration. It's also my effectual fervent prayers that ministry and agencies will effectuate the arrest agenda, specifically Pillar 6, which is human capital development, and at least provide a DEX for person with disability in each office. Now, a lot of ministry and agency does that for gender inclusivity. We hope and we pray and we expect, because it's our human rights, our fundamental human rights. It's not a privilege that we have employment. If you look at Article 27 of the United Nations Convention on the Rights and Dignity of Persons with Disability, which Liberia is a signatory to, it speaks to this. If we look at Section 5 of the act that established a National Commission on Disability also speak to disability equity and specifically states that for every 100 person employed in an entity, 4% should be persons with disabilities.
He's Samuel Dean, Executive Director of the National Commission on Disability. They're appealing to the president to issue an executive order that will compare all ministries, agencies, commissions, and bureaus to establish disability text to address issues affecting people with disabilities. Indeed, if you just join us, a reminder you are in tune to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes of factual and reliable news about Liberia and the rest of the world. Today is Friday, September 19, 2025. I'm Cornelius Johnson presenting story topping the headlines this morning. State prosecutors demand new medical examination for 6 Capitol building accident defenders at Army Expeditionary Healthcare Medical Center, but defense lawyers take exception, says the facility lacks independence. Liberian government removes more than 1,000 public school teachers from national payroll. Authorities of the Ministry of Education classified them as non-performing teachers. President Joseph Boyka suspends Deputy Youth and Sports Minister Brian McGill days after intense pressure from civil society groups. But Liberia National Police requests forensic equipment to commence full investigations of McGill's rape allegations. Of the home front, the head of Malawi's Electoral Commission has warned political parties not to prematurely declare electoral victory, saying they should wait for the official results. And a 3,000-year-old gold bracelet that disappeared from the Egyptian Museum in Cairo was stolen and melted down, the Egypt's Interior Ministry says. We take a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you more developments on the program. Many thanks for being there and welcome back. Feminist activist Vicjun Woto and a group of women's rights campaigners on Thursday stormed the headquarters of the Liberia National Police demanding the swift arrest of Deputy Minister for Youth Development, Brian McGill. The activists said they could no longer tolerate what they described as deliberate delays in handling Deputy Minister's alleged rape case. Medical reports have since confirmed that the minor was raped, but authorities of the LNP are yet to effect the arrest of McGill, something many people describe as the police shielding alleged rapist because of his political status. According to them, the rights campaigners are also accusing the government of not only being concerned about enforcing laws against ordinary Liberians. They say the police is hesitating to arrest the accused minister, stating that this time he should have been behind bars while investigations are ongoing. Here now is fake John Woto.
The other people who have their families are Sabi because we're on a quest now to go and start protesting, even if they go start to blast Sabi over there as all the rape and the alleged suspect of the outside, they're willing to do it. Because we're seeing it in the position we get out of the case, we can say and we pray that you do the same for the other people. So it is not for her and not for them, not for them, we want to talk for everybody. And I also want to say that we are trying to get the protest now the police and when they're running here, they have no reason to think that they are elected only because he's a powerful figure. So if you want trust your judgment, you are giving a reason to say you are biased enough and you are protecting him. You are doing the court work, and you're taking your place to go and find 7 ministers and make them say, you say all that before going to court. So I have asked for you to no, we should not even be discussing or 14-year-old girl around the now or say for your police to follow my horse.
In response, Chief of Public Safety of the Liberia National Police, Fred Gay, explained that although medical findings point to rape, more substantial evidence is needed before an arrest can be made. He noted that Brian McGill has denied the allegations and as such, The police are conducting a geolocation probe to determine his whereabouts on the day the alleged incident occurred.
Yesterday, we issued a press statement. And the press statement was basically about two issues. Yes, you're right, when somebody is alleged to have raped, it's non-bailable aspect of that law. That's fine. But when they speak about non-bailable, that non-bailable aspect is really relied with the court. The court, when you take into court on that charge, the court does not allow you. The only way you will be allowed to be brought off from the court is two things. When proof is not evidence, the presumption is not great. At that point in time, the court will allow you to get out. But when the two things are present, you can get bail or you cannot get bail. So that's it. And what we say to you is, yes, it is alleged that this lady was temporary. And I come in now, listen. Okay. Alleged rape. Okay, alleged rape. And no, listen. Can you let me?
She is confirmed rape.
Can you let me? Wait, I mean, let me provide little thing that you listen to me, then you tell me.
Let's just take it one step at a time. This girl is a confirmed rape survivor. Let's call it what it is.
I will continue to, as a law enforcement officer, I will continue to use the word alleged until proven in the code of competent jurisdiction.
No.
That's why it's required. Those are the terminology we use. No. When you go to court, you are a suspect. And in the court, you are a defendant.
But she has been confirmed raped by somebody, this suspect. So let's just take as she is a rape survivor.
Okay. Let me
it actually decreases the severity of it.
So let me get to the substance.
Pressure they are mounting on the Liberia National Police to arrest and prosecute Brian McGill, Deputy Minister for Youth Development at the Ministry of Youth and Sports. You listen to Chief of Public Safety of the Liberia National Police, Fred Gay. They're explaining to the campaigners earlier. You listen to feminist activist Vic John Woto. Today's development now, the Superintendent of Margibi County, O.J. Morris, has described fight against illegal drugs in Liberia as a national emergency, calling on the national government to take a holistic approach. Speaking at the large gathering Thursday, Superintendent Morris emphasized that the fight against narcotic substances should not be left solely to the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. He noted that tackling the growing drug problem is a shared responsibility that demands collective ideas and action from all sectors of the society.
Because the fight against drugs is not only related to marching or the campaign to launch on a day. It's not a day event. It's a process. It's successions of calculative approach. So we want to use a holistic approach from our enemy to first identify all of the institutions and organizations that some way or the other you have been fighting drugs when it was not declared as an emergency issue. Now it has been declared as an emergency issue for all of us to respond to. We think the divisive fight against drugs will not yield the result we all yearn for. If you are going by yourself as an organization to just fight against drugs or the involvement of the county authority or the county authority doing it with all your involvement, we will be doing it, but we will not understand the gains we are making, the results that we are getting, because communications fight against drugs in Margibi, we are on course.
He's the Superintendent of Margibi County, O.J. Morris. The Liberia National Red Cross Society, in collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency on Thursday, provided updates on the ongoing implementation of the Economic Community of West African State Civil Protection and Humanitarian Aid Operations Funded Project. The initiative, valued at 725,000 United States dollars, support more than 1,800 disaster-affected families across 4 counties: Lofa, Grandier, Mosurado, and Nimba. Speaking during a joint press briefing in Monrovia, George Blambo, General Secretary and Executive Officer of the Liberia National Red Cross Society, reaffirmed the Red Cross commitment to humanitarian excellence and interagency collaboration.
We're pleased to provide you with an update on the progress of the ECOWAS-funded humanitarian project, strengthening resilience and supporting this collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency and other valued partners. The project is valued at $725,000, as we have said, and it is a beacon of solidarity and hope, targeting minimum of 1,820 disaffected families across 4 counties: Monserrado, Grand Cape Mount, Bong, and Nimba. And the focus of this project, as we can see, is on water, sanitation and hygiene, agriculture, and livelihood. These activities are aimed at supporting recovery, building resilience, restoring dignity. To date, we have had coordination meetings. We've had 2 steering committee meetings. The steering committee is at the level of heads of agencies and is usually chaired by the ECOWAS ambassador.
Meanwhile, the Liberia National Red Cross Society Chief Executive Officer noted that the livelihood component is set to reach 1,820 disaster-affected families, each of whom will receive US $250 via mobile money transfer. He stressed that the selection of beneficiaries was based on needs assessment conducted in 2024 from a list provided by the National Disaster Management Agency and its ongoing rigorous field verification to ensure accuracy, transparency, and fairness.
The livelihood is the second part of it. 1,820 families will benefit from this livelihood support. And we said before, and I'll say again, each family will receive $250 United States cash. That money will be transferred to their mobile money account. We are verifying the list. The beneficiaries we are assisting are not beneficiaries identified as a result of flood this year. These are beneficiaries that were identified last year, 2024. So we had the list. NDMA had the list, which they gave us, and now we are verifying the people on that list. We want to make sure A, they are on the list, B, they are in the communities where these issues supposedly happen, and C, whatever information we can find out from them. So that's what we have been doing. To date, of the 1,820, 1,360 have been verified. The verification continues until we can reach the total number. Now,
today's development now, the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency has arrested a 51-year-old businesswoman, Helena Anderson, in Fishtown, River G County, with a large quantity of 3 pills of tramadol and over 100 rounds of live ammunition. According to the LDA River G detachment, agents conducted a search operation at Allison's business premises following tip-off from community members and discovered 3 pills of tramadol tablets valued at approximately 36,000 Liberian dollars, along with 116 rounds of single-barrel ammunition. At the same time, the Liberia National Police have confiscated 100,000 compressed marijuana units estimated to be worth around 9,576 United States dollars and turned over to the DEA. According to the Deputy Director for Administration in the Stape, each unit was valued at 76 United States dollars, adding that the suspect fled the scene before the officers arrived.
So like we said, we are fighting against drugs, not just targeting the user, we're targeting the traffickers. Our intelligence network is strong. We are out there, we go after the traffickers, go after the dealers, and we dismantle their network. We have a very robust team now and ready to serve with sessions and with integrity. So again, we are asking the community to support us in the fight. And there's a joint security effort, as you be aware, this was arrested by the Liberia National Police. So we are moving with integration, and we are moving with all law enforcement institutions. This is not just LDA. We are getting support from the Liberia Immigration Service, from the Liberia National Police, from the Customs, from the ARA, from the Fire Service. We are getting support from even the communities. Even the motorcyclists are prepared to support us in this fight. So we are asking the media community to also join us in this fight.
Away from home, the head of Malawi's Electoral Commission has warned political parties not to prematurely declare electoral victory, saying they should wait for the official results. Annabelle Talimagi's warning came after the parties of the two main presidential candidates, the Cuban Lazarus Chaviria and his predecessor, Peter, claimed they had won Tuesday's polls. Speaking at a press conference Thursday, Ms. Mamaji also said that only the commission was mandated to release results. Malawians have been eager in awaiting results, but the commission has not yet released any, despite the fact that nearly all votes have been counted. And a 3,000-year-old gold bracelet that disappeared from the Egyptian museum in Cairo was stolen and melted down. Egypt's interior ministry says the restoration specially took the artifact, which dates back to the region of a king who ruled Egypt around 1000 BC from a safe at the museum 9 days ago, according to the ministry. The woman contacted a silver jeweler who she knew, who sold the bracelet to a gold jeweler for $30,000. It said he then sold it for $4,000 to a gold foundry worker who had melted it down with other jewelry. It added, the ministry said the four defenders or individuals confessed to their crimes and are being arrested, and that the money was seized. So in this news, here once again, our headlines. State prosecutors demand new medical examination for 6 Capitol building accident defenders at Army Expeditionary Healthcare Medical Center, but defense lawyers take exception, says the facility lacks independence. Liberian government removes more than 1,000 public school teachers from national payroll. Authorities of the Ministry of Education classified them as non-performing teachers. President Joseph Boakai suspends Deputy Youth and Sports Minister Brian McGill after intense pressure from civil society groups, but Liberia National Police requests forensic equipment to commence full investigation of McGill's rape allegations. Away from home, the head of Malawi's Electoral Commission has warned political parties not to prematurely declare electoral victory, say they should wait for the official results. A 3,000-year-old gold bracelet that disappeared from the Egyptian museum in Cairo was stolen and melted down. That's according to the Egypt's Interior Ministry. Many thanks to all of our contributors, editors, and reporters who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom more sources. For more news and information on this station, join us at 1 p.m. for another edition of the program. On behalf of the entire team, my name is Cornelius Johnson. I presented. Many thanks for listening and watching. Good morning.